What is going on, everybody? Patrick over here at GhostPicks ATS. Let's talk some college basketball. So I'm going to be going over 4 games here, breaking them down how I do. Going to be a little different. Going to maybe be some kinks in this video as I test out working the screen and showing you what I got and showing the screen. So I'm going to be disappeared. It'll just be a voiceover after this. Let's get right on into it. First game. First things first, though. I do have my game of the week in college basketball. It goes off at 9 p.m. It is my biggest bet of the year so far. You can get it. The link will be in the comments. You can go to GhostPicks ATS website. Check that out as well. All right. For those of you who are new, go check me out. Twitter, TikTok, Pat Sports Bets, YouTube, GhostPicks Patrick. Let's ride. All right. Let's start it off. First things first, TCU versus Oklahoma State. If you look at these two teams, the spread for this one is 5.5 points. If you look at it from the surface, looks like a pretty even game, maybe favoring TCU. But the more you dig, let's get on into it. So here on the left side here, I'm going to have the ranked games, the matchups here, and I'll walk you through what I do for some of these games here. So numbers on the left side here encapsulate the entire season. You can see the strengths, weaknesses of some teams. You can go do deeper dives. This is my preferred site for college basketball. I do have Ken Palm and all those, but this is one of those sports where college basketball analytics are all over it. So I do use my own numbers, but I also, if I'm going day-to-day, Bartovic is the man. Great site. All right, TCU, Oklahoma State. You can see the strength of TCU is purely defense. Top 25 in the country over the course of the full season. In adjusted metrics, they force turnovers. Just a solid overall defense. The one area they do struggle, though, is with 2-point defense. And the same thing goes for Oklahoma State. Strengths, defense, forcing turnovers, rebounding, getting to the free throw line. They struggle. These two teams are very similar in that regard. But the one area that I want to look at here is recent success. So looking at these two teams. So since Frankie Collins went down for TCU, point guard, Arizona State transfer, they really haven't had a ton of options. It limits their depth big time. It leaves a lot of pressure on Noah Reynolds, who has been decent. He's been solid. It's a one-man show. But look, here you go. Looking at the adjusted metrics here, based off the past month of basketball, you see that these two teams completely flip. Oklahoma State is actually the better squad, sitting around 68th in the country compared to TCU at 114th. Defense of TCU has gotten worse, while the offense at Oklahoma State has gotten better. Now, the one thing about Oklahoma State, I've been riding this little hot wave they've been rolling with here. They've played some damn good games. The loss against Houston was one of those games that just showed this team's scrapping. They got some fight in them. And surrounding that Houston game, they have 2 good wins. Really just about played their 3 best games of the season back to back to back. And that was coming off of an absolute ass whooping versus Kansas State. So that's not what you want to see here. But if you couldn't guess, I'm leaning toward I'm leaning toward Oklahoma State plus the 5.5 here. And not leaning toward. I'm on Oklahoma State plus the 5.5. These two teams, look at the recent success. And the big number that I want you to look at here is the 2-point field goal percentage allowed for TCU. It is 58.3%, good enough at 351st in the country. That is bottom 10. That is awful. That is struggling, which means Oklahoma State, the one area that they have great size across the board, they're going to have some success on the interior. And if they're able to win the battle on the boards, it could be not only Oklahoma State cover, but Oklahoma State outright plus 200. And the big factor here, even bigger than TCU's 2-point defense, is their 3-point offense. 25% over the last month, which is good enough for just about dead last in the entire country. With the size of Oklahoma State, and now interior, Oklahoma State has not been great on the interior defense. But given that they don't have to respect the 3-point shot as much, I think that Oklahoma State's going to squeeze them out. keep away the turnovers in this one. That's the big if. Oklahoma State's been coughing it up a good bit lately, but if they keep the turnovers down, I think they win outright. Give me Oklahoma State plus the points. Next game. Iowa. Rutgers. Let's see what we got here. Actually, is that the next game? No, I want to go Drake versus Illinois State. This was my free play of the day here. For those on Twitter, Pat Sports Bets. That line reeks. Same on TikTok. That line reeks. It's my thing. Lines that are fishy. You have a 20-2 Drake team going up against a 15-10 Illinois State team. Drake has won 10 straight games, and here they are on the road, only favored by a bucket. This is the smallest spread that Drake's had over the past month, and I think it's for a reason. So, looking at these two teams over the course of the season, Drake seems like a pretty obvious winner here. You know, they're a damn good team. They have one of the best offenses in college basketball. They have a decent defense. They force turnovers. They rebound well. They do everything right that you just about want them to. So why am I taking Illinois State plus 3? Well, for one, you look at this as the full course of the full season. Look at Illinois State. Top 10 in effective field goal percentage. Top 10 in defensive rebounding. Top 15 in three-point percentage. Top 40 in two-point percentage. They clearly have their strengths, and they play to them. This Illinois State's team's definitely not the best by any means, but they have a pretty damn good offense, and in this conference, that'll do it. Chase Walker is the main reason that I like Illinois State today. He is the big man, 6'9", 280. He's a beast. Can do it all. Drake has no answer for him. Now, if you look here, the one area, once again, similar to the last one, 2-point defense. 54.5% is what Drake has been allowing teams to shoot from 2-point range, which is the same as Illinois State. But we're getting a little more into it here. Let me look at the last month of basketball and see what it goes to. 56.4%, which is 330th in the country. That ain't gonna cut it. And if you look at the first time that these two teams played, let me pull up that matchup here. I'm not going to. But Drake won that game by a bucket. And it was at Drake, and it was a battle. Drake in that game had one of their best three-point shooting performances of the entire year, going 11 for 23. I mean, shots were just falling. And on the other side, Illinois State, who was a top 15, top 20 three-point shooting team on the year, they were 6 for 21, one of their worst three-point performances. Yet, it was still a three-point game. Why is that? Chase Walker. Chase Walker dominated the interior of that game. Illinois State dominated the interior. They shot phenomenally around the rim because the rim is open. That's the one thing about Illinois State. At all times, they got 3 or 4 shooters on the court. They've got great floor spacing, a great damn offense because of that floor spacing. Chase Walker, interior with room to work. I don't see Drake having an answer for him. Illinois State pulls the upset here, but give me those plus 3. Next game. Now this is where we start getting ugly here. VMI and UNCG. So if you look at this one, VMI is a 10-point dog in this one. They played 2 weeks ago, and I was on VMI on the road at UNCG. VMI is one of these weird teams. If you look at them just right there off the surface, 289th in the country this season overall versus UNCG, which is 182. It's not very promising, but you can look at these two graphs here and see how these two teams started the season. That VMI was struggling. They were just getting smoked by everyone. The wins were versus a bunch of garbage teams. UNCG was playing solid to start the year, but as we've gotten into conference play, these two teams have completely flipped their ways. Now, the main reason for that, in my opinion, is just VMI taking care of the ball and playing a little defense. Now, look at these two teams. Let me see where we at here. Left side, UNCG versus VMI. This is the course of the full season. UNCG doesn't do anything phenomenally. They play decent defense, and they shoot the 3 ball. That's pretty much the basis of what they do. They're an average team, nothing more, nothing less. I don't think they should be favored by 10 in this game. And if you look at the course of over the full season, If I were to take the numbers for the full season, I would put UNCG as about a 10-point favorite. Sure. And then wouldn't really have a pick on this game. If you look at the recent success of these two teams, it's gone completely opposite. Not only is it a closer spread, over the last month, VMI has, per adjusted numbers, VMI has been the better ball club. They've cut their turnovers down. That's the number one thing. They have a positive turnover margin. They've also been much, much, much better on the defensive end overall. They were getting killed on the boards. They were doing everything. They were getting beat in transition. This team has completely turned it around. 6-2 over their last 8, and they've been competitive. That 6-2 includes a 3-point loss to UNCG. I think this spread is just way too many points. I think these two teams are much closer than the spread indicates, and give me VMI plus the 9.5, and throw me a little sprinkle on the money line while we're at it. All right, so we got 3 dogs so far: Drake, UNCG, and Oklahoma State, which means we must have a favorite to close it out: Iowa and Rutgers. So these two teams, this one is all about Owen Freeman. Owen Freeman, the center for Iowa, injured his finger, and he is out for the season. That cannot be overemphasized how big that is for this Iowa team. They play 4 guards and Freeman. That's just what they do. It's 4 guys across the board and then Freeman. No matter pretty much what, Freeman played a damn good amount of minutes. But now he's out for the season, and Iowa had no interior defense before Freeman got injured, and now they really have no interior defense now that Freeman's injured. You add to that the rebounding. Freeman was their best rebounder by far, and now they're out there running with 5 guys, no true bigs. I don't see it happening in this one. I think this Iowa team is going to struggle down the stretch. But I'm not taking Rutgers plus the points here. I'm not taking Rutgers minus the points here. I'm taking Rutgers team total over. Now, here is why. 1, pace. Iowa, without Freeman, I think they're just going to be cooking. This pace of this game should be pretty damn high, as indicated by the total, sitting at 161. Is that a high total? Hell yeah, it's a high total, but I think Iowa has no answer. Now, Iowa could win this game if they win the battle of the three-point line and win it big. You know, they got Josh Dix, Sanford, Thewell, the other Sanford. They can all shoot, but they are small. They can't rebound. They struggle on defense. I don't see a world in which Rutgers is not able to dominate the inside, get out in transition, and put up some points. As long as the one area that worries me in this one, I'd say as far as the spread or as far as the total goes, Iowa could run a little zone. Just without the size to match up with Rutgers, I think they might run a little zone in this one. And without Rutgers being a phenomenal three-point shooting team, I think it could be a little bit ugly. But even if they do run zone, it makes it even harder to rebound, and they've already been one of the worst rebounding teams in the country, and that is the strength of Rutgers. So, and these, once again, full season stats. Iowa, Rutgers, basically even, 68-69, pretty much the exact same overall ranking. But once again, check out these two teams as of the last month, including the games that Freeman's been out, and it's been night and day. Rutgers with their Utes, the freshmen, they've been getting better and better. And that's what happens with freshmen a lot of the time. Adjusting to the college game, it takes a little bit of time. This team is getting better and better and better. They are dangerous down the stretch, in my opinion. You know, look, wins versus Illinois, Nebraska, UCLA. They've got some solid wins. And look at the losses. They haven't been bad, which is the good thing. You know, 7-point loss, Michigan State. 3-point loss versus Michigan. 9-point loss versus Maryland. That was a battle. These guys have been hooping. Give me Rutgers team total over. Actually, I don't want to give you any wrong numbers here. Let me double check this one. Make sure it hasn't moved. All the other ones are up to date, accurate. Let me double check this one here, and thank you for watching. So to recap, my picks in this one. You can go back through, watch the whole video, see what I like to look for in games in particular, especially with these smaller states where I can kind of dig through the games a little more individually. Once we get to like Saturday slate, that's where we're getting into my models and a little more of the sharper side of things. But let me see what we got here. Hold on. Iowa. Rutgers. Iowa. Rutgers. Iowa. Rutgers. Rutgers team total over 83.5 points. Consensus line. College basketball, if you ever do join my premium picks, I always, for the most part, put out the consensus line, especially with college basketball, just because I don't think it's fair. I try to be as transparent and fair as possible. You know, I'm not going to be like, hey, there's 1, 2.5 out there at even money, and I'm the only one who got it. But here I'm going to put out 3.5, so here you go. It's not how I roll. I put out the consensus line, try to be very fair. Don't count winners that are losers and losers that are winners and shit like that. But anyways, good luck. God bless. Grind on. Have a great day. We got Illinois State plus the points. We got Rutgers team total. Oklahoma State plus the points. VMI, Virginia Military Institute of Technology. I don't think it's technology. Anyways, have a great one, and I'm out of here. Hopefully this went well. If you liked it, hit a like, comment.